there, I'm Shawna Robins, founder and CEO of Third Spark Health. And today I'm doing an Authority Magazine interview on why you should make getting a good night's sleep a top priority in your life and how you can make this happen. I have Phyllis Thompson with me. She's a published author, a certified personal trainer, and an integrative nutritionist specializing in hormone health. Phyllis empowers women to balance their hormones for weight loss, symptom relief, and revitalization through a holistic approach and guides them towards a path of transformation, longevity, and vitality. Wow, Phyllis, who wouldn't want that, right? I mean, isn't that the goal for all of us?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Thank
Although
you.
often it seems elusive.
It's true, it does. I can't wait to hear your tips and your comments today in this interview. So tell me how you became involved in sleep health for women.
Well, I started struggling with perimenopause at the age of 35. And I was in college. I had gone back to college in my 30s. I had kids very young. So the 30s was a good time to go back. And I was a biology major. I wanted to be a doctor. And I fell in love with the human body. And through those studies, at the same time, I was going through perimenopause. I was 35 and I was having trouble sleeping. I was being mean to everyone, and it was just wreaking havoc in my life. So it took me down this path of trying to understand what was going on with my own body. And that's how I came across, what happens in the body at this age, and that you can actually start to struggle that early. So I started to hack my own body and started sleeping better and coined myself the hormone hacker.
Wow, I like that. Okay, so tell me how you hacked your own body, and then we'll talk about hormones.
Okay. Well, first of all, I was looking at what was happening, what was wrong, and started with the trial and error process. When it comes to not sleeping, often you're clueless that you have any control over it. So I decided, okay, let's stop drinking caffeine after 3 o'clock, because that was obvious to me that was getting in the way. Let's do something that doesn't require me getting my heart rate up after 7, because that's going to get in the way of sleep. And just those few changes were able to help my body calm a bit so that I could sleep better.
Okay. Any nutritional changes that you made, or,
That
taking away
part.
alcohol or doing anything else? Like, you hear so many things, but it's amazing that your body was able to respond with just those two.
Yes. Well, I was already on a health journey at the time. So my nutrition had already changed. I noticed that I would take shots of espresso because I was in college at the time. So I was doing shots of espresso at my noon class, and I'm getting home and it's 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I'm getting ready for bed. And I'm like, why am I so wound up? So that was one of the key things I took out. And then just calming my body at the same time, because the caffeine, it affected my adrenals, which
Mm.
is a deeper topic. So I was able to calm it with just the yoga and the meditation and taking the caffeine out at such a late hour.
Yeah, I love that you touch on that, because I think a lot of women especially are so tired that they are using caffeine, sort of what I would call as a crutch, really, to keep themselves up and just to get through the afternoon. A lot of women are drinking energy drinks too, which is, such a huge dose of caffeine, and really, can negatively impact not only their body, but their sleep too.
Absolutely. And that's what society teaches us, right? Go, 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 go. You have to accomplish. And we often inadvertently get this idea that the less we sleep, the more we can accomplish. But when you hit 35 and upwards, that can work against you. When you're drinking caffeine, for some women, it doesn't matter what time of day it is, but it does send a signal to the pineal gland to release less melatonin. So that's going to affect how much sleep you get as well. And melatonin is our sleep hormone.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so let's sidetrack into adrenal glands, because I know from being in adrenal burnout and working with clients that are in adrenal burnout, which actually some doctors say doesn't exist, which I
I
can
know.
100% does exist. Um,
Yes.
can you talk to me
We have
about,
a whole slew of women that are suffering, so we
yeah,
know it does.
yeah. Can you talk to me about adrenal health and how that connects with sleep as well?
Well, first of all, if our cortisol levels are too high, that's going to affect how much sleep we get. And that's driven by our adrenals, and especially in perimenopause and menopause. That's one of the things that we need to support the most, because as we get closer to menopause, our ovaries are going to produce less estrogen, right? And it's going to produce less of the key hormones that is going to help us stay calm, right? Especially progesterone. So if our cortisol is high, then it's going to steal. I don't want to get too sciencey, but it's going to steal the precursor for progesterone, which is our keep calm hormone. So that's going to affect how we sleep. When that cortisol is high, our body isn't making enough melatonin. So it's also going to affect our sleep. And it stresses us out, it gives us anxiety, and it's a compounding effect. So when those ovaries stop producing those key hormones, especially in menopause, supporting the adrenals through nutrition, calming workouts, and making sure you prioritize improving that sleep is what's going to help that.
That's so great. Sometimes it's hard though. It's like the chicken or the egg. How can you get more sleep when your adrenals are already in burnout or exhaustion? All you want to do is sleep all the time, but then you can't because you wake up in the middle of the night, or you have trouble falling asleep. You have any tips for women that are dealing with that?
Well, you want to retrain your body. So our bodies run on signals, right? And that's one of the things I learned in my biology studies. Our bodies run on signals. It's so brilliantly designed. We just have to know how to get the right signals to our brain, right? So if you're lying in bed awake, I'm sorry, Dale Carnegie, he was a wonderful person. He really was. But that advice to get up and do something does not work for perimenopause and menopause. Lying in bed, put on some calming music and wait until you fall back to sleep. You are training your body, and you are training that circadian rhythm in your body, that sleep wake cycle. And that's the first place to start. At first, it may seem like this makes no sense at all. I'm just laying here. But you are training your body to be at rest when it should be. And as you progress and make other changes to support that, you will calm your body and be able to get back to sleep.
And what about having the brain that wakes up in the middle of the night and starts with the lists and the worries and the spinning and all that? What do you have any tips for that as well?
I typically tell my clients, keep a notepad by the bed and write those things down. That way you get it off your mind and you can revisit it in the morning. That's one of my go-to tips, is just really write down that list. And my youngest daughter is 24. She struggles with this. She has a lot of anxiety and her mind's always going. So I said, babe, keep a notepad by your bed. Whatever's on your mind, write it down. And if you wake up with something on your mind, write it down and then go back to sleep, or do your best to go back to sleep. Put on some calming music and lie there. Your brain will calm down.
That's great advice. That's good mom advice.
Yes.
Good life advice. I like that.
Yes, yes. We don't realize we have so many thoughts, right? And as women, we're trying to save the world and solve everyone's problems, and that is a detriment to our own health sometimes. So we need to put those things aside and lay and rest. And it can be difficult at first, but with more practice, it gets better.
hmm That's right. So I like that practice part, right? Because it's the idea that we don't realize anything is broken until it's beyond broken. And then how do you repair it? I know when I'm working with women about sleep, sometimes I'll ask them, how long has it been since you've had a good night's sleep? And they can't even remember. Right. So then it's like, if it's going to be that long that you've been struggling, give yourself the time to practice new skills so that you can repair. It's not an overnight fix. It wasn't an overnight problem. And so
Exactly.
it does, you really have to lean into making those long-term changes.
Exactly.
So
That's difficult though. It's difficult in this quick fix society, right? Everybody wants a pharmaceutical solution. So telling someone to take the holistic natural path and listen to your body. That's one thing women have not, I don't feel like we talk about that enough. Your body will tell you what she needs. Learning how to hear and understand what she's saying is the biggest part of that puzzle.
mm, yeah, that's so great. So true. Okay, so what are your thoughts on using melatonin as a sleep supplement?
I like using melatonin, but with any supplement, please read the labels. The supplement industry is not regulated. I can make a supplement and say, oh, this got this in it, it's going to do great. So read the labels, make sure it doesn't have gluten in it. And then it does come in different doses. I think it's 5 milligrams and 10 milligrams. Start low and work your way up. So I do natural sleep aids if that's what you need. Honor what your body is asking for.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you're copping out. You're giving your body what it needs.
Okay. Okay. So you touched a little bit about the idea of cortisol and, the pregnenolone steal, which is,
Yes.
so true. And a lot of women don't understand that the building blocks for cortisol and progesterone are the same building blocks. And when the
Mhm.
body's in a heightened fight or flight mode, it's always going to choose to support cortisol over making a
Exactly.
baby, right? Because
Mhm.
that's common sense, right? The body's like, if we're not safe enough to
Exactly.
survive, the last thing we're going to do is procreate. So
Exactly.
how can you support your progesterone? I find that progesterone is a big factor for women, especially in perimenopause and menopause, that negatively impacts their sleep, lack of progesterone. So what are your thoughts on menopause hormone therapy for women?
Being a holistic coach, I recommend or I support the holistic path. However, every woman has the right to choose what's right for her body. If hormone therapy is what is right for you, then by all means, and I support that. For women that want the holistic path, I'm here to guide you. I do not think that you're giving up if you choose HRT. It's 100. This is your body and your life. You get to make that choice for yourself. I recommend doing the research though. Research what's in them, research who's manufacturing them, and understand the benefits and the side effects.
Okay, that's great. Now tell me a little bit about your book. I know you're a published author.
Yeah, so it's called Hacking Hormones for Weight Loss, and it basically takes a woman through some of the key steps, right? Getting your nutrition in order. That's going to be the first line of defense when you're in perimenopause and menopause. Making sure your sleep is dialed in, and most people don't know how to do that. So I give you the step-by-step guide so you can build a blueprint so that you get better sleep. And then it's built in there so that if you need more support, you can reach out. But making sure that you have those key elements in place, like stress reduction, proper sleep, proper nutrition. And I even give you a little guidance on how to speak to your doctors. Unfortunately, in the traditional medicine, often we aren't supported, and that's really where my passion comes from and where I feel my purpose is. We're not supported enough in traditional medicine, and we're not getting the answers that we need, some of us, right? So having a woman armed with a manual is basically what I call it, to sort of take yourself through some steps, see what's going on with you, and then address it accordingly. Often it will uncover maybe another issue, and that's common. But you get the steps in there to do so.
Mm, okay, great. And where can people find your book?
I'm on Amazon. It's on Kindle and paperback at the moment.
All right, that's wonderful. Thank you for joining me today. Where can women find you online or on social media?
So on Instagram, I'm the Women's Hormone Hacker. On Facebook, I'm just Phyllis Hannah Thompson, and LinkedIn, I am Phyllis Thompson.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It was great.